Do you sound young and sexy?
At least those two.
At least. What are the ones you want to add to it? We could add two. Young, sexy, and rich.
I can think of vibrant and, all kinds of adjectives.
Well, that's what we're dealing with. Vibrant, young, sexy, and rich. That's the way to go there, brother.
Absolutely, man. You got it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Pre-Accident Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Conklin. How are you? Isn't that great? Anytime you can start a podcast with the words young, sexy, and rich, I kind of think you should. I mean, I don't want to boss you around or anything, but isn't that the goal? Isn't that the goal, to be young, sexy, and rich? So that's kind of where it all works out. So that's what happened. So today's podcast is a three-way. My eyes are up here. Look up. And what's going to happen is it's a conversation between Corey Pitzer, Jeff Lyth. You can't say that word without lisping. And myself, Todd Conklin. And the reason we got together is because of, well, let me tell you, sit back and let me tell you a story, if you will. So there's been kind of a lot of pressure to do a workshop in Canada, which is fine. I mean, that's great. I'm more than happy to do it. But the workshops are kind of, they're sort of alsos. They're not, it's not like my main gig. It's not something I think of like I don't think of it as my job, really. And there's sort of, I don't know if you've ever done a conference, and all of you've been to conferences, but if you ever had to be in charge of one, you know what I'm about to say. It is a ton of stinking work. I mean, it's just, it's like building a house. You got to make a ton of million decisions about stuff, and it gets a little tedious, and everything, a pot of coffee costs $900. And so it's expensive and it's goofy. And they really want to spend a lot of time because they want the meeting to be good. And so I'm not that guy. I'm just not that guy. I mean, I think it'd be great if we all got together in the back of a truck someplace and there was an ice chest of Diet Coke. It'd be a great meeting if you ask me. So Jeff got together and Vanessa and said, we want to do one of these in Canada and we'll pick up the load. And I said, then go for it. I mean, because it's not like it's me. It's not, anyone can do these anytime. And so we started talking about it, and we figured we should do it in the spring because Vancouver's, if you've not been to Vancouver, it's gorgeous. It's especially gorgeous in the spring. I mean, that's a really good time to go there. And I thought, well, maybe this will be fun. So we got together the old gang. So definitely Bob Edwards to talk about learning. And then I'm going to talk about some fundamental stuff. Mark Yeston's going to help out, I think, as I understand the schedule. I'm pretty sure that's what I understand. So that's the three of us. That'll be really fun. I mean, we always have a good time together. And we decided to invite Corey Pitzer. So if you don't know Corey, I've worked with Corey for a million years, and he's just a great guy. He's funny and he's hilarious, and he lives in Vancouver. So Jeff and Vanessa got together to put this conference together, and they made some phone calls, and sure enough, Corey was going to be there. So it ended up being kind of the perfect gig. And so that's going to happen, and it's in May. I think it's 19, 20, and 21 are the dates for it in May. And there's you can find it. Details are details, right? But mostly what I think it'll be is really fun. In the middle of all this, putting this thing together and talking about it, and me trying to run away from responsibility and work, which is what I do for a living. Corey came out and said he had just finished a really large project looking specifically at fatalities, where he was able to actually spend a lot of time, like a couple of years, with an organization going from site to site with super engaged leadership to actually change the way they manage high-risk, high-consequence failure. And out of it came this really dynamic model that it's super interesting, which kind of follows my work as well, is that fatalities aren't super accidents. They're not like the top of Heinrich's pyramid. God, I can't believe I just said that. They're not these logical conclusions to the failure of your safety program. They're really these dynamic, anomalous events that exist in your organization in like 3-minute increments twice a year. They're really, really these interesting dynamics. And part of that conversation is what led to this meeting. Now, I got to tell you, the meeting's going to be fun. Super excited about the meeting. But what I'm most excited about is this conversation around these models coming together around fatalities and significant events. And that's exactly what it'll be, you guys. It's a conversation. I'm not sure we have answers yet, because I'm not sure we fully understand the dynamic nature of this problem. But what we have is the opportunity to get together and have this conversation. And you might as well have it in a really good place. Now, Vancouver's a really good place to do that because there's great food, amazing food, and there's good people, and it's beautiful. So what else do you need, right? I mean, those are the components that are necessary to have success, near as I can tell. And so that's what we did. We threw that together. And out of that came this discussion of this podcast episode. Let's have a conversation where the three of us get together, kind of distance-wise. We all got together on Skype, and it worked, which is unbelievable to me when stuff works. But it worked, and we just had a conversation. And it ended up being, well, you'll have to listen to it because I think it's worthwhile. But here's the quick answer. Your schedule's busy. I know that. Spring's a crazy time. I know that as well. But that into May, that little 3-day period in the third week in May, if you can sneak away and zoom up to Vancouver, I think it would be worth having you as a part of it. So there's a bunch of stuff going on, but this one I think has really, really interesting potential. So that conversation, which is what's going to happen next if I ever shut up, that conversation is what you get to hear. So let's take a moment and listen to that conversation. This is Jeff Lyth, Corey Pitzer, and myself, and we're going to talk a little bit. Well, you'll hear. We're going to talk a little bit about the conference we have, but mostly what we're going to do is invite you to be a part of it. That is where this thing starts to have some legs. So sit back and relax and enjoy the conversation between the three of us. I think you'll like it very much. What a lucky day. I cannot believe I'm on the phone with my two buddies, Corey and Jeff Lyth. How are you guys both doing?
Well, it's been a long time coming, Todd. I can't recall when we last chatted, but it's really nice to have a chat with you again. And Jeffrey, we caught up a couple of months ago, and
yep,
great to be here.
Well, part of it, Corey, is the restraining order. The courts wouldn't let us talk for a year, so I mean that we had to let that happen.
Well, yeah, no, you got to let that run its normal course.
So how are you doing, Corey? Are you busy? What are you doing now?
Yes, it's been a rocky couple of years now. The last 18 months, had a really great time doing a process for a client on the elimination of fatalities, which was just mind-blowing, really fantastic to participate. I designed it on a basis of a process that I used some years ago, and it just was really a very satisfying experience.
That's good. Did it work?
Yeah. Well, the proof will be in the pudding in the next few years, I guess. The organization has got a really enviable safety record already, but you know it's a mining company, and they situated right around the world, and the one thing that they've made a deep commitment about was to eliminate all fatalities, and so the process was kicked off 18 months ago and finished in December.
Wow!
And so it's been we deployed it on over, I think it's in total 40 of their mines around the world, and it was about a week's process on each of those mines with a team of people that was selected from within the company and from outside the company, like external people, and it was led by a senior executive of the company and was just had an enormous impact, I think, on the organization.
Do you guys think only safe companies worry about not killing people? I mean, is this a maturity step? When you get so safe with industrial safety, you start worrying about fatalities. What do you think about that?
I think you're right. I think it comes a time when an organization have been working so hard at its safety systems and its safety infrastructure, and they don't get to see the benefit of it. They don't get to see that final piece falling into place where they get to that point of, well, can we eliminate all accidents? Fatal accidents? And then the next question comes, well, that question is superfluous. We have to. We really can't continue on this basis anymore. And I think that's a big step in maturity of the organization. It's like a dividing, a point of non-departure. They can't go back on that.
In my experience, though, and I'd be curious what you think, Corey. In my experience, it's not the notion of eliminating all fatal accidents. It's really the notion of building systems that are robust enough that they make fatal accidents recoverable. Would you agree with that, or do you disagree with that?
I think that's quite an interesting question.
Thank you. I'm filled with many of them. I've just started. If you take the top of me off and pour it out, there's a million interesting questions. There's no answers, but there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, for sure. At one point you'd have to come to a decision. We are going to eliminate all possibilities of fatal accidents happening. Well, that's a journey that, okay, maybe you never reach that. You probably will never reach that. So what is the next step? The next step is, okay, well, we have to at least put everything into place to reduce the likelihood, exposure of people to these conditions or to these circumstances to the utmost best that we possibly can. We can realistically say in the end, there isn't really nothing else we could do. But then something else still happens. So that's the point where we have to be, and I think that's what what's his name, Nassim Taleb said, is anti-fragile, is when you are in that situation where you recoverability of the organization, not only just recover, but that you become stronger as you grow from these adversities. But at some point, you have to still get to that question. Is the elimination of fatalities possible? And it's just the same as are the elimination of serious accidents possible.
I agree with you. I think the question's interesting. I just wonder if the method, I don't think, I'm like you, I don't think you can eliminate all the ways you can kill people, but I think you can build systems that are resilient enough that they have the ability to flex and recover.
Yes, and that really holds with a notion that I strongly believe in, that I believe that the safety is defined as the readiness to respond to risk. And if you define the organization in those terms, you create readiness at all kinds of levels, systemically, culturally, behaviorally, in your practices. That's the readiness. Then you also, when you talk about the responding, that's also on various levels, systemically, culturally, etc. And then that respond to risk is that deep understanding of what is risk in that organization. Just how does it actually manifest itself? And so, I think that coming back to your question, there is that you have to build all your capabilities at every possible level of the organization, or conceptually.
I wish we could get together and invite some friends and have this conversation, maybe in Vancouver. What do you think, Jeff? Is that possible?
Yeah, we could throw something like that together.
You think you could toss something like that together?
We probably could. What are you guys doing on May 19 and 20 and 21?
May 19th, 20 and 21. It's weird. My calendar says I'll be in Vancouver with Corey Pitzer.
And
Maybe it's in the stars.
and I will go if there's Nanaimo bars. How do you say that word? Nanaimo?
Nanaimo bars.
Nanaimo bars. That's
Nanaimo,
the deal breaker or deal maker right there.
Yes, no, we've talked to the venue about that, and they assure us that Nanaimo bars will be free flowing.
I wonder if it'd be safer if it was like a cash bar.
Or a vending machine.
So tell us what you're thinking, Jeff. I'm really curious because this conversation is a really important conversation we're having, and tell us what you're thinking about this meeting.
Oh man, we've had a few of these conversations over the years when we've gotten together in various locations, and the last time I think was in Vegas in October, and it was a really terrific experience, and I think that I really envision holding these hubs in various locations with slightly different mixtures of folks, and have that conversation and include representatives of so many organizations in the dialogue. It's a really powerful 3 days, and it's a fantastic conversation. So I couldn't wait to get you back up here in Vancouver in the springtime and pick a nice venue and invite some folks from locally and more further abroad and have that great conversation.
Do you think we'll get a crowd?
Oh, I think we'll get a crowd. What I'm finding is that word spreads. We've got organizations looking at buying tables, not tickets. So
wow, it's like a fundraiser. Is it to see Corey?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. He's a local treasure that doesn't come out of the woodwork locally very much.
It's hard. It's hard to be a prophet in your own town, as Corey will tell you.
Well, that's why I leave it so often.
That's right. And plus, if you're not from here, you're automatically an expert. So it's always better to be from somewhere else.
Yeah. An expert is a guy from out of town with slides.
That's right, slides, and that is a definition of either Corey or myself. We are that person.
No, I'm grateful for you guys to agree to do it. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. I've always said my ulterior motive is putting these events on is really just to be able to participate, just to bring to town something that I'd want to be a part of for those days, and I think it's going to be a fantastic conversation.
So what's your envisioning for the 3 days? What's the schedule look like? What can people look forward to?
Well, the details are still being dialed in, but I think generally we're looking at the first day, the 19th, as a kind of a fundamentals day to find out where everybody's at and sort of get everybody on a consistent sort of place. Day 2, ideally, we talk to we have Bob Edwards do the learning team process, and that goes very well. And I'm looking forward to day 3 being this FSI model of prevention, the fatal and serious injury prevention, because as you guys just said, it's a really important topic, and needs to be constantly assessed, I think, and really seriously considered.
The chance to work with you guys is really fun. I just don't get enough opportunities to work. Corey and I've we've gotten to hang out together before on some other stuff, kind of global, haven't we, Corey? We're jet setters, aren't we?
Absolutely, and I fondly remember the trip to Australia we had with me and Rob and Professor John Adams and yourself and I, and it was just magic.
It was really fun. That was really fun.
Yeah, I think that kind of dialogue and debate and in-depth, just throwing concepts around, really uncovers such a lot of nuggets that it enriches me, and I'm sure it enriches you and the people who are there. I really think it's a great idea that Jeffrey has here to put this together.
And we've grown so much since then. We have new stuff to talk about. That's what's so interesting, especially around this fatality stuff. The work you've done, which I'm dying to sit and talk with you about, that is going to be great. The work that I had to do, it all kind of comes together, and we're starting to look really. We're looking at this problem differently than we've looked at it before, and it's interesting, Jeff. I think your idea is smart starting with fundamentals, kind of a deep dive fundamentals is a great idea. Then going right into operational learning is brilliant because learning seems to be the secret weapon of all of this stuff. And then sort of finishing up with a conversation around really the fact that the classic tools we've used to manage industrial safety are not the same tools we're going to use to manage significant and catastrophic failure. And so that part of it, I think, alone makes this workshop really interesting. And it sounds like it could be fun. And is Vancouver nice in spring?
Yes, I'm going to say yes.
You're going with yes?
I'm going with yes. We just missed the Rolling Stones concert that week, I'm afraid. But we might catch Journey and the Pretenders for some sun and good company, delicious food. But yeah, I believe that this model should really continue. Now, this information is evolving really quickly, and to convene groups of you gentlemen and have this dialogue, I think it should take place periodically in different locations around the globe, and I think it's emerging so quickly. This is the way to do it. This is the best way to keep abreast of leading thought, and for especially inviting lots of folks so they can go back to their organizations and put it into play.
So you're telling me if we would move the conference up a week, Ron Woods could take the third day with Corey and I? So it'd be Corey, myself, and Ron Woods?
Look, that train has sailed, man.
Oh, it's too late?
We've had that discussion. Hindsight being 2020. Yeah.
But Ron Woods is the unsung stone.
I think if he hears that you were there, Todd, he's not going to want to come because he hasn't got a black man.
We don't need Mick. I mean, Mick's great, and I love Mick, but I think he would try to hog the stage, and Corey and I wouldn't get any time to talk. But Ron would be generous and would share and would, back us up.
I think that's a good idea.
So, Corey, what can we look forward to on this model? Tell us more.
Oh, I think something that came. I think a very important part of this model for me was this: where does the fatal accident actually live? And what surprised me was almost an uncovering of a level in the organization where the fatal accident exists for 3 minutes, or in just 3 steps, or only a few times a month, and then it's gone. It's like this random concoction of events and of conditions and behaviors and actions that only come together very, very temporary, and then it's gone. And that to me is the challenge, to capture those times when it's potentially there. And it's so different from my thinking in the past. As you say, we've all grown a lot. My thinking in the past was more static. Okay, we've identified the conditions, the working at heights and all these kind of traditional stuff. But it is just mind-blowing to me how these things shift, move, morph into different forms. That I think that's, to me, the challenge is how do we capture those moments, those dynamic moments. And I think this process, this model, has gone a long way over the last 18 months to actually do that. So I'm so keen to share it, Todd, that I think you'll love it because it speaks to the soul of the organization, to the soul of how we do things. That maybe we've been too static in our approach. Maybe we should really have something that changes with the circumstances all the time. So the system to identify the risk must in itself be morphing and filtering through the organization dynamically in order to capture these things.
See, I think that's brilliant. The idea that those kind of failures are anomalies and that the system's dynamic. And I agree with you. I think we've been way too we've been way too linear in the way we think about managing risk, really. And risk is really dynamic. We've known that a long time, but our systems are not very good at being dynamic.
No, we have almost like binoculars that sits on a tripod in the organization, and we think that these fatal risk exposures are going to come through in our fixed looking at it. And that's not how it goes.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Well, this sounds like fun. I mean, this sounds like this would be a really good time. Jeff, what are the details we need to know?
Well, the event is posted on Eventbrite, and there's a link to it on the events page of the Safety Differently website.
Okay.
So that's probably the most direct way to find it. We're calling it Hop Hub Vancouver, and it'll take place in North Vancouver at the Pinnacle Hotel on May 19, 20, and 21.
19, 20, and 21 of May.
Correct.
At the Pinnacle Hotel. I like
That's
that hotel. That hotel's where we did that last meeting, right?
It is, yeah. It's good, and Martha loves it down there, right? Lower Lonsdale, she was saying. She spent some time here.
Yeah, it's a really good part of the world, and it'll be fun to be there, and we get to hang out and have fun.
Oh, it's going to be so fun all day and fun into the evening as well. It'll be great to spend some time with you, gentlemen.
Thanks for your time, you guys. This was really fun.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Jeffrey. I'm really happy you put this together. That's really great. And if we make it work well, maybe you're right. We should recycle this throughout the world on a regular basis.
I think it's a good idea, Corey.
We're taking the show on the road.
Yeah.
Gonna put the band back together.
Yes.
All right, you guys. That was good. Hey, thanks for that. Was good, Corey. You're amazing.
I'm only as amazing as you make me amazing.
My job's easy. It's easy for me.
I'm looking forward to work with you again.
Not a bad little conversation, I would think. I don't know what you guys thought. It was pretty good. It's fun to talk to those guys, that's for sure. I hope you can work it in your calendar. If you get a chance, I know there's a lot going on and things are busy and things are crazy. This one might be really interesting. If you work it in your calendar, it might be something to do. And if you're in Canada, no excuses. I mean, it's up there because Jeff said you guys really want one. So if you really want one, here it is. It's coming at you, baby. So it's yours for the taking. So that's the podcast for today. Thanks for being a part of it. It was so fun to hang out with you. You guys are amazing. Tell your friends, subscribe, smash that like button. I was just saying, you don't have to. There isn't one. I mean, it's just, that's made up. But do tell your friends, everybody asks one person to listen. If everybody asks one more person to listen, that would be crazy. That would actually take us over. Well, I'm just getting greedy now. It's all about greed. What I like most about this podcast is the chance that you and I get to sit and talk. If nothing else happens, that's a pretty good time, if you ask me. So there you go. So that's the podcast for today. Do something fun every single day. Learn something as much as you can. Now, how do I say this? Learn something new every single day. Have as much fun as you possibly can. And for goodness sakes, you guys, be safe. See you in Vancouver.